Okay, break time. Go! Let's go! I found a really useful way to talk about problem solving. Oh, problem solving, yeah. Oh god. Where am I gonna go with this? Well, I actually might have a perspective that puts problem solving into a more positive light, right? Okay. Like imagine you're at an obstacle course, right? Imagine like someone invites you there, right? You might think like, hey, like that sounds like fun. Obstacle course? Like show me pictures, like show me it on Google Maps or something, right? Let me see, right? And, like like you see the pictures, then you go and you have fun, right? Like imagine now, um, imagine now if that same obstacle course was instead called a problem course, right? It's the same thing. Well, according to this book, right? According to this book, a problem can be defined as a situation with a goal and an obstacle, right? That's literally an obstacle course. So I was like, okay, well, there's a definitional problem here, right? And so we can make much more positivity in light if we really dig into how we think about problems and obstacles, right? And I came up with a really good way with my thoughts here. Well, my thoughts in comparison to what was written. So I wrote this definition down. A problem can be defined as a situation with a goal and an obstacle. I wrote, I don't like the word problem being used in what's being described. Like, I'd alter this definition by abstracting it up one step. Right? Rather than using the word problem, let's replace it with the word obstacle, right? It's the same thing. Like an obstacle can be defined as a situation with a goal and something to get over, to solve, to conquer, right? Right? We're replacing these words, and we're going up a level, right? But what's the utility of that? What's so useful about that? Well, during my train of thought, I came up with this really interesting thought, this idea, a problem, right? Like consider the moment where I said in that previous scenario where I was like, imagine if it was called a problem course, right? You're like, oh, what? Like I'm not gonna go there. Like a problem course. I don't want more problems, right? So that's interesting, right? So you really have to think about what that does or what that is. Like what is making like that kind of spontaneous like detraction from having wanting to go to that, right? So I kind of lay that out here. A problem, right? The problem that how we think about it, that kind of problem. On the end of this is a problem is on the ends of this spectrum of like something to solve, something to conquer, something to overcome, right? So on the end you have a problem, right? So I describe this problem. That's where difficulty is. That's where tension is. That's where non-entertainment and non-play are more at the forefront, right? Right. And so on the other end, you have an obstacle, right? It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing except it has different emotion. It has different coloring, right? So on the other end, you have ease of approachability. Ease of approachability, relief of stress, and play, right? Yeah. So, the reason this might be useful is that it allow this using thinking of like things to overcome as like kind of a spectrum allows us to control the way that it's going to be interpreted or approached, right? So I write here, the use of this definition allows room for approachability and entertainment to ease its way into the context, right? So this is useful in describing to someone that assumes the journey, and we point out to them, well, that's not a good thing, right? Where it's like, man, I don't want to do this, like I don't want to do that, and then like they, you know, let's say your parents make you do whatever that was, and then you and then afterwards like, yeah, that's fun, let's do it again, right? But like notice like if you saw it in the more positive light, like notice how easy it was to do that and to not assume the journey, where it's like, oh, it's like a more, I'm assuming what's positive, right? I'm assuming the entertainment rather than the problem, the difficulty, the tension, the non-play in that journey, right? And that's where the approachability comes in, because once we put all the positive stuff in the forefront, then we're getting somewhere. So it's useful also to express those sentiments, right? That allows us to see that we are in control of how those ideas, those things that we're gonna do, are being expressed, and those and the way that we're gonna express them is through through, I mean, however we see fit. It's the context that matters, right? And our expression is that context. Assuming that we haven't done that before, right? Right. It's not useful to assume the journey if it's not, if it's negative, right? If there's tension, right? We want to ease the tension to allow someone to see what it's really like in a positive sense for themselves. Yeah, so that's what my idea was. Isn't that useful and interesting?